The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Greetings and welcome to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor and Stress to Logic, your host. And one of the great movies of the 1990s was A Few Good Men, when Colonel Jessup is on the stand and he says, "We follow orders, son. We follow orders or people die. It's that simple. Are we clear?" And Tom Cruise's character, Coffee, says, "Yes, sir." And Jessup says, "Are we clear?" And Coffee says, "Crystal." And with that, I have Crystal Milan on the line. She is a fellow firearms instructor. Hopefully you thought my goofy intro was a little bit entertaining. But Crystal, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to be on the show with you.
Terrific. Where are you located?
I am out of sunny South Florida. I'm located in Fort Lauderdale Beach, Florida.
Fort Lauderdale. So I'm in Chicago, where our bodies of water are unsalted. One day I'll move down there. One day, maybe Boca, but that's 10 years down the road. So can you share with everyone, what is your origin story? The name of your company is I Got Her 6, which to me totally attracted me to inviting Crystal on the show. We used to say in law enforcement, check 6, which means look behind you. Figuring it, I'm going to explain this for the non-military people. If you can picture your view as a clock, 12 o'clock is straight forward, 6 o'clock is behind you, 3 is on the right, 9 is on the left. That's how this all got into vernacular. And checking your 6, or I got her 6, means I got your backup. So with that said, Crystal, can you tell everyone, what is your origin story?
I studied criminal justice, and I really got into public safety because I felt that there was a need, especially for women. We are victimized more often, and there are different instructors and different programs out there that are for the general public, but I really wanted to get into women's safety. So I Got Her 6, like you said, I got your back, but because I work predominantly with women, I changed it to I Got Her 6. So that's basically where that term came from and why I started my business with that name.
How did you learn about firearms? Was it a family thing? Was it something when you were studying criminal justice? How did you get started with the whole gun culture?
Well, it started with friends. I had a lot of friends that were into firearms. My dad was also in the military, but more so with friends. I had a really good friend that was a firearm instructor, and I would go out to the range with him, and I learned a lot. So I really enjoyed it. The main thing is being able to protect myself, because I understand that my friends are not going to be there with me 24/7. So it's going to be up to me to protect myself. So mainly it started out of friendship that happened many, many years ago.
Cool. So I was on your website, and it talked about a 511 tactical class. I saw that you had a 511 tactical class. Is that just a class at a 511 store, or is there more to it than that?
The USCCA, or Delta Defense, they had partnered up with 511 Tactical to offer the ADR, which stands for Always Be Ready. They do these classes, I believe it's like every 3 months or so, different types of classes. The last one I did was self-defense tools and tactics. So we went over some less than lethal type of weapons, such as the tasers, pepper sprays. We had tactical pins, I believe. And I'm going to be doing another one that's coming up, and this is home defense fundamentals. So we'll talk about ways to safely secure your home, self-defense options and laws, and things of that nature. But it's really through the USCCA. Since they partnered with it, because I'm an instructor with the USCCA, they allow me to do these events. So they'll have different instructors. They're official partners, actually, from the USCCA, and they just give us the opportunity to teach these classes, and it's great.
Is the ABR the equivalent to refuse to be a victim?
It's really a little bit different, because we always have different topics, even though some of them are kind of interchangeable in some sense, but it's not really like the NRA's classes. They're a little bit different in certain senses, but we do touch base on some of the similar topics.
Okay, very good, very good. What can you list some of the other class? Like obviously you do a concealed carry class, you do firearms classes, but can you give our listeners kind of an idea of the other things that you teach, like less than lethal? And I'll get into that in a minute. But what are the topics that you cover?
I have a class that's geared towards moms called Safe Haven Moms, and that class is really centered around keeping the moms safe and their family safe. So we start out with home safety. So we make sure that we keep their home safely secured and making sure that they have a plan in place for their families. We also go over what to do when you're out at the playground or you're out in public, so shopping or getting gas, and just the strategies to make sure that you don't invite criminals to your forefront. It's a very popular class. We do that both in person and online, and it's just a really great tool for parents. I mean, oftentimes I see women out with their kids doing things that I'm thinking to myself, wow, that can be a real problem. If I was a criminal watching, they would be an easy target. So I just want to provide them with the tools and the resources so they don't become a victim of something.
That is terrific. And I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. The next, thank you for having a sense of humor, by the way. The next time you have, or in the future, whatever times you have online classes, if you throw me an email, I'll mention it on the show. I actually want to sign up for that class. So, and I
appreciate that. And, I don't typically like to do online classes, but I also know there are certain people that, especially with moms, you're busy. You don't have the time to really go somewhere. You got to pack up your children. I know, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids and 6 grandkids, so I know exactly what that's like. So I provide them with an option to do it online and get the same information, but at their own time. It's a little bit easier for them. And sometimes I'll do them live online via Zoom, and sometimes I'll just send them the link directly. Like if they're really busy, like I have soccer today and I've got this and I just really can't sit through a live, they have that option. I'm very flexible with that. So I do appreciate the opportunity to share them with your viewers and listeners. Yeah, because it's interesting when I do these classes and I talk about these tools, because some people say, well, I can never take a life and I don't want to use a firearm for that reason. However, you do realize that these other tools that we're using can, in fact, be deadly. You got a person that they pepper spray, for example, maybe they have an allergy to it, or they have asthma, and then they fall and then they hit their head, because a lot of times they're injured by a fall from these other, alternatives. Next thing you know, you got a body on the ground. And you didn't want to have firearm because you thought this was going to be an easier way out, and it's not.
Exactly.
People need to understand that. So, and also there's laws as well.
And what the right things to do are. In other words, you might have the legal authority to take action, but it might not be the right thing to do. So there's ethics.
Not very, very proactive. I'd rather never get into that position. So that's why I teach classes on situational awareness, on preventative measures and strategies, rather than just because I have this device, I'm going to do things that are reckless. And it's really not the best mentality to have. So I'll avoid anything I can, any kind of dangerous situation at all costs.
Very good. So there's a couple other things that you teach. How did you get involved in the real estate market?
I have a lot of friends that are real estate professionals, and I see a need, and I've also know of stories where mainly women, and I do have a few men that have been victimized too, but mainly women have been a victim, let's say, of a showing. They're going to do a showing. There was an incident where there was 2 women, and the first lady went in to do a showing, and she just didn't feel comfortable. The vibe that she was getting from the guy were off, and her gut feeling was telling her, hey, I better not go in. And she didn't go into the house. She told the guy to take a look around, and she went to her car and made a phone call. Well, the other lady did the same thing and had the same feelings about this guy, but she went in and she ended up being raped. Ooh. So, very similar situation and different outcomes. And I also know of a gentleman that was tied up and bound and robbed. So it does happen in men as well. But because I have friends in the industry, I said, I've got to create some kind of a program. And the types of program I like to teach, especially, the in-person ones, are hands-on. Because I feel as though you get more, you have muscle memory, right?
Right.
So if you're going through scenario-based training, if something were to ever happen, it's going to trigger that memory. you're going to be better prepared. Rather than me just giving you a lecture and say, don't do this or don't park here. Better for them to go through those steps. So I prefer to do the hands-on with these real estate professionals.
Awesome. Can you touch on what you do for active shooter training?
Yes. So active shooter is pretty much the same thing where we do scenario-based training. So, for example, we'll go to a business and they want us to go through the steps. And we don't do the typical run, hide, fight. We go to, it's a little bit more elaborate. And we do hands-on reality-based training with them that prepare them, because we work with people that have already had some sort of active shooter training in the workforce, and usually it's by means of a video. And then you get them into a real-world situation, where we are, in fact, reenacting things, and they completely fail miserably. And as you know, we don't want them to get into a situation in life and fail. So the time to make mistakes is in the classroom.
Right.
So I also do active shooter for individuals if they want to come to me. But typically, businesses.
Okay.
We do those training.
Is it the ALICE system?
It's not the ALICE system, but I did have one of my instructors who at one point was an ALICE instructor, but it's very similar in a sense, right, because you do the reality-based stuff. It's very important. Very, very important.
So there's something big in the news today that you actually cover, and that is human trafficking. Can you touch on what you do as far as training people on human trafficking?
Human trafficking is really big here in Florida. Very big. It's a major problem in our state. And there's a big misconception that people think that people are just tied up, bound, and it's hidden. But in fact, this is stuff that's in our plain sight. And if we're able to recognize those signs, we can help to mitigate those chances of somebody being victimized, as well as maybe somebody is prone to going in the wrong direction. If we can intervene, and talk to people and get them help. Here we get people that are, say, false job offers. You go apply for a job and you think it's a regular job and it turns out it's not. And when COVID hit, there was so much going on with the online aspect of everything. And that became a real problem because it was like a floodgate for these traffickers. So even if you have a child, let's say that's at home in a state that's far away from people, even it could be in the woods. If they have access to the internet, it can be a problem.
Right.
But in my state, we have a major problem with trafficking. And you got to be very careful. In fact, I go to the playground with my grandkids, and I watch parents allow their children to go into bathrooms unattended. I see vehicles parked, and nobody's paying attention to what's going on around them. And it would be very easily to snatch up somebody's child. Or women in general do the same thing. But then the Blue Campaign. So I do stuff with the Blue Campaign as well, which is really a good program. And anybody can access that. If you go to Blue Campaign online, you can get a lot of information on trafficking and tons of resources that are available.
So most firearm instructors, and I got this information from a professor that studies this, so most gun classes and firearm instructors do not touch on suicide. I do in my classes. Lightly I touch on it because it's a deep topic. Can you talk about the SAVE program?
So I created that because with all of my classes, especially my concealed carry classes, I got new people. I always talk about suicide because obviously we know statistically if you have a firearm in your home, you're more likely to use that as your choice in your life. As a means in your life. There's something, your mental state changes. It's very easy to do with a firearm. So I always tell my students that this is the reality of it. These are the statistics. And I even have magazines and stories that I share about people that I know that took their own lives with the firearm. And also my grandfather, he was the person that done this. He shot himself with a shotgun. So it's just really important to me to spread awareness so people are aware of the fact that, this can happen. And if you get into any situation, my phone is open 24/7. Anybody can call me. I'm trained in SIF, so that's like a gatekeeper for suicide intervention. And I'm open 24/7. I tell people, call me whenever you need to.
That was the sad part. That was a somber part of the conversation. I'm going to switch gears and make it positive. It sounds like, from everything that I've heard about you and read about you, and I found you on Facebook, we were involved. I don't even remember the conversation, but we were involved in some conversation. You do a safety trivia, you do a bingo night. Can you talk about those two activities?
I like to make learning fun and engaging. I don't want it to be some boring lecture where somebody's just sitting there falling asleep. So I'll do trivia nights, and I do different things. Like there's nights that I'll do, let's say, concealed carry. So I'll ask like concealed carry trivia questions. Same thing with bingo. Concealed carry fashion show. So we talk about fashion and how a woman can carry and different options. Trivia night, we've done the human trafficking trivia night. We go over terminology and different things that they really enjoy, and I make it fun. And then I'll partner up with different companies. They'll send me boxes of stuff to give away, which is really important because I feel as though it's an effort of everyone, the community, to pull together to make these events fun and spread awareness.
Terrific. It sounds like a blast. Forgive the pun. I didn't even realize it was a pun until I said it and heard myself talking. Your website talks about partners. Are these affiliates? Are they sponsors? How do they fit into your business?
Another part of the business that I have is called the Safe Community Partners, which stands for the Safety Alliance for Flourishing Enterprises. And it's 4 pillars. The first one is workplace violence prevention. So if there's a business, we go over workplace violence prevention strategies. I have resources. Then it's personal safety, community safety. So they'll do events in the community. We'll have, it could be a fundraiser, it could be a campaign like Human Trafficking Awareness Month. We'll do things, that are geared around that subject matter. And then the 4th pillar is business growth and development. So within the partnerships, we get together, we can have events, like let's say it's a restaurant, close events. They'll open the doors to the other partners and everybody gets together and network. And we have a co-op where we share like discounts within the community, within our partnerships. We have coupon codes or whatever, just to bring everybody together. But I think it's really important for us to work as a community to promote safety and awareness, and it's just a good way to do it. I have sponsors. Sometimes people will sponsor events. Then we have people that just actually go out and do the event. So they might host a party or host a campaign or a fundraiser.
What are some self-defense tools? And keep in mind, the best self-defense tool is someone's brain. But what are some tools that you would recommend?
The first tool is, like you said, it's the mindset and it's the mentality and being aware of your environment. So nobody sneak attack, right? But not all situations, like I mentioned before, call for deadly force. So I carry pepper spray. There's a difference between gel and spray, which I go over that in all my class, because different situations, like we're close to the beach. So if you have pepper spray, there's a good chance that it's going to be all over the place. And then the gel is directly, if the stream, it's better. But depending on the situation, either way, I like to have some kind of a pepper spray or gel on me at all times. And I have it readily available. What happens is you'll hear people say, well, I've got pepper spray and it's in the bottom of the purse. Or one of the last classes I did, I asked everybody what they carry. And one of the guys said, yeah, I do carry pepper spray. I said, well, where is it? He goes, it's in my car. I said, well, that's going to do you a lot of good because criminals don't work on an appointment, right? So you can't just expect a phone call from Bob at 3 p.m. telling you, hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. Would you mind me stopping over and breaking into your house? Right. Or you're going to get gas tomorrow at 5. Let me go ahead and stop by and rob you. So whatever device you have, you need to keep it on you at all times and have it ready. So I do like pepper spray in the evening or nighttime. I love to have the tactical flashlight. I always try to park. First of all, I don't even like to be out at night, but if I find myself in that situation, I park in well-lit areas, and I'm always watching and seeing what's going on around me. But those tactical flashlights, you can get a better visual of everything that's around, whereas when it's pitch black, you can't see anything. So I do like the tactical flashlights. But if I need to blind somebody or shine it in their eyes, disorient them, I'll use that tool as well. But those are typically the two that I like the most.
And they're simple to use, which is very easy.
But I recommend people, even when you do get these types of tools, to get trained, know how to use them.
Right.
I know with the pepper sprays and gels, some of them are designed differently. They might have a little locking mechanism, and if you don't know how to use that, the last thing you want to do is try and figure it out when your life is on the line. It's too late. You don't have the time. Every second counts.
Totally agreed. So In the Chicago area, I'm heavily involved with Jewish people, and I have seen a tremendous increase in people who are Jewish who are taking classes, self-defense classes, concealed carry. Some of them who've been involved in the Million Moms March or Moms Demand Action, which to me is kind of mind-boggling. Have you seen an increase in people taking your classes since October 7th?
I certainly have.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot more concealed carry classes as well as self-defense. I have one of my partners. He does the Krav Maga, and right now he's out of the state, but he comes. He's in Vegas, but he comes back and forth for me to do these classes. But we definitely seen an increase. They're terrified. They know what to expect. So yeah, right. For this community, 100%, we've seen a big increase.
In the last, I'm going to mess up the date, but in the last year or so, Florida went constitutional carry, which means the Constitution is your concealed carry license. How has that change in the law affected your business?
For my business, I really haven't seen a decrease. I've had other instructors inform me that they're not getting any business. I don't know if it's because of marketing. I get business, well, they find me on my website, but I do referrals. So if you do a great job, a lot of times people refer you. So I don't just rely on people finding me online. I try and do a really good job so they can, continue to do business with me and refer people to me. But like I said, for me, not so much, but for other people, they said they're struggling with that. Carry, it's not an open carry state, and you still have to know your laws. And if you weren't able to obtain a concealed carry license previously, you still can't carry one. You're a felon. Right. You just robbed the bank. You still can't have one. That was a real big misconception too. Is people think, oh, now anybody can carry a firearm, and that's not the case at all.
Right. What final thoughts can you share about your background, your services, and your contact information? So if you can list out your website, spell it.
My final thoughts are I would hope that more people would get involved in their safety and be proactive rather than reactive, because there's nothing worse than me getting a phone call from an individual that has just been a victim of a crime that was 100% preventable. In my area, I see a lot of Botox parties and eyelash parties. But then when it comes to safety, it's like, I don't really want to be involved, or I'll do it another day. Well, you're going to look really nice in your coffin with that fresh set of eyelashes and that Botox. You're going to look phenomenal. So just take it more serious. And don't wait for something bad to happen to do something about the problem. Because the majority of these things that we run across, that we come across are preventable. People will say, it came out of nowhere and I didn't expect it. Nobody really ever does until it happens to you. So final thoughts, I just would hope that more people would get involved and take this serious. It's not that expensive. It's a good investment in your future. My contact, you can find me online, www.igother6.com. It can work either spelled out or igother6.com. Either way will work. And I have all my contact information on my website, my social media, my social media is on there, my email and my phone number. If anybody wants to reach out to me that way, that's probably the best way to do so. And I'm very responsive too. People always tell me you're very responsive. So if they reach out to me, you're going to hear back. And it's not going to be somebody in another country who you can't understand. You're going to get me. No assistance.
Very good. It sounds like you are the Marcus of Florida, or South Florida, which is, it's very refreshing to have this conversation with you, because even though I might not have commented, we are certainly of like mind and like experience, which is it warms my heart, which is great. So, Crystal, thank you very much for appearing on the show. I look forward to future conversations. And again, please let me know when you have online classes, and I will mention them on the show and in my social media as well, because there's two types of firearms instructors out there. There's the ones that say, forget you, you're my competition, which is not you or me. And then there's people like you and I who say, you know what, let's work together. And that's what I'm all about. Let's work together. Let's not work against each other.
I agree with you. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm always working with other instructors. I have some really good instructors here, and we'll partner up and we'll help one another. We're a team.
Right.
It's not a competition. We're all here with the same goals, and that's to educate people and help one another. So I agree with you on that, and I'm glad you're the same way and have the same mindset as I do with that.
Terrific. Well, Crystal, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to our listeners today.
You're very welcome. I appreciate the opportunity.
The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.